Hello, and welcome to the Captain's Info presentation for sand volleyball for Spring 2020 for UTA Intramural Sports. In this presentation, we'll cover our policies, where we play, the rules of the game, our scheduling software, IMLeagues, and the league schedule, awards for our champions, upcoming events, and how to contact us. The intramural sports staff is comprised of the Assistant Director, Travis Langford, as well as student program assistants, student supervisors, and student officials. If you need to get in contact with us, please email us at imsports@uta.edu. Our website is uta.edu/intramuralsports. You can find links to our rules, handbook, policies and procedures, as well as other events that are going on at campus recreation. IMLeagues is our scheduling software that we'll talk about. The rules in the handbook can also be found on IMLeagues. Eligibility to play intramural sports is available to current UTA students, faculty and staff that have a MAC membership, and campus recreation membership holders. All of these are allowed to participate in intramural sports activities. Alumni must have a membership to play. All players are required to check in with the ID checker before the game. If you don't have your ID, you cannot play that night. 2 campus recreation membership holders are allowed on a team, maximum. The MAC members must show proof of membership to play. Players are not allowed to play on 2 different teams in the same division. A random eligibility check is held on the field, and a full check is held in the intramural sports office. If the game in which a player signs in is a forfeit, they're still considered to have played in that game and to be on that team's roster. Players may be added at any point in the season or postseason, so should you have problems finding players on a given night, you can still add to your roster. Game time is forfeit time. If your team forfeits once, they will be assessed a $25 forfeit fee, and that fee has to be paid before the next scheduled game. If a team forfeits twice, they will be charged another forfeit fee, but will be ineligible for the playoffs. If the fee goes unpaid, the team will be dropped from the league altogether. Players will not be allowed to switch teams after the second week of the season. If they choose to do so before the second week, they have to sit out a minimum of 1 week as a waiver wire transfer penalty between teams. Our sportsmanship system is as follows. Teams will be awarded a sportsmanship grade for each game based on their conduct. A 4.0 or an A is above and beyond conduct and sportsmanship. Good conduct and sportsmanship will be assigned a B or a 3. Average conduct and sportsmanship is a 2. Below average conduct and sportsmanship is a 1. And an F or 0 points is poor conduct and sportsmanship. Teams must maintain a 2.5 average in order to be eligible for playoffs. And once in the playoffs, a team must maintain that 2.5 average in order to remain in the playoffs. The way our structure works in the playoffs is that every team makes the playoffs except for those that don't qualify because of sportsmanship or forfeit. Unsportsmanlike behavior will result in a caution, which could be penalties within the game, ejection, suspension, or a judicial hearing or dismissal from school in some of the most extreme cases. In all of our intramural sports sites, there is no smoking, no alcohol, and no tobacco products. All intramural sports participants play at their own risk. However, the Department of Campus Recreation encourages all participants to have medical insurance in case of injury. Every team makes the playoffs, except for teams that have 2 or more forfeits, or teams that default or forfeit greater than a combined 50% of their scheduled games, or any teams with less than a 2.5 sportsmanship average. If there are enough teams, there will be 2 divisions, a competitive bracket with teams that have a win-loss record above 500, and teams that have a win-loss record below 500 will go into the recreational bracket. During playoffs, the scheduling is done online, and the priority of selection has to do with the standings, the seed during the regular season. That's decided primarily by win-loss record, and a tiebreaker will be sportsmanship, and then which team has more forfeits or defaults, if they've played head-to-head, and finally our last tiebreaker is points against. Unfortunately, it is impossible to ensure that every team plays at their usual time, so be prepared to play on a date time that is not unusual. We don't reschedule games. Remember, you can still add players all the way through the championship game. We will be playing sand volleyball at the Maverick Activity Center, located at 500 West Netterman Drive. We're at the sand volleyball courts, which is out by the outdoor basketball courts. Sand volleyball is played 4-on-4, and 3 players are required on each team to start the game. For co-rec, 2 males and 2 females are on each team. If you're playing with 3, it could be 2 males and 1 female, or 2 females and 1 male. Players can play barefoot, but no combat boots or hiking boots can be worn. Tennis shoes or sandals can be worn out on the sand, but there's no jewelry allowed. Each match will be 1 game. The scoring style will be rally scoring, which means that a point will be scored on each serve regardless if you're the serving team or not. The first team to score 25 points, win by 2, or a 30-point cap will be declared the winner. Each match has a time limit of 25 minutes. If the match is not complete when the time expires, the team with the most points will win the match. At the beginning of the game, a coin toss or rock, paper, scissors will determine which team receives the choice of first serve, or they can choose the side of the court for the beginning of the match. We'll switch sides when the total number of points in the match scored is a multiple of 10. So if the score is 7-3, then 10 points have been scored, we'll switch. Same thing with 5 and 5, 10 and 0. Following a side out, teams do not have to rotate each player on the court. However, they must rotate servers. Teams will self-officiate, and in case of a dispute, an intramural sports supervisor will be present to mediate. If the decision is obvious, the supervisor may make a ruling. If the decision is not obvious, the supervisor will suggest a replay of the serve. Teams will play 2 games per week, falling on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, depending on which division you signed up for. And we will notify all players via IM Leagues if the game is canceled due to weather. You can also follow us on social media to get the same information quicker. Please ensure that your players are on the roster before the first game. And if you have any issues getting players on the roster on IM Leagues, please email imsports@uta.edu. The competitive division champions will receive t-shirts, and a player has to have played in at least 2 games to be eligible for a t-shirt. If a player misses the championship game, they can come into the office to pick up their shirt up until the end of the semester. Every champion will receive a wing party at Pluckers in Arlington. They will receive 100 boneless bites per team. You have to be present to receive the boneless bites, and please take care of the waitstaff. Tip them as if you were buying the wings. You have to use the coupon before the end of the semester. Typically the Friday after graduation is your deadline. We're glad you're playing this sport with us. Please take a look at the other sports we have available. Our team sports are on the left, and the individual dual sports that we have to offer that are free are on the right. All of these can be signed up for on IM Leagues. As we said earlier, all of our rules and policies and other information can be found on our website. Give us a call at 817-272-3277 or send us an email at imsports@uta.edu. We also now have an Instagram, so follow us at UTA IM Sports and like us on Facebook.